Okay, what I'm going to explain in this third video is how to add a new assignment to a class. So hopefully we've gone through saving to the V drive, we've gone through setting up a class in ExamView Test Manager, and now we're going to look at actually adding an assignment. So as a review, what you need to do once you have your test built in ExamView Test Generator is save it to the V drive. So just as a reminder, just to go through that process again, this is a practice quiz that I'm going to load to my sample class. So I go to Publish To, I go to ExamView Test Player on the LAN, and then I'm going to hit Save. And as a reminder, this is where you need to make sure that you save this to the V drive. I need to add the sample class, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So within my sample class, I'm going to go ahead and save this as Practice Quiz. So I'm saving it on the V drive, and then it's going to go ahead and automatically launch me into ExamView Test Manager. If you have that unclicked, all you have to do is select ExamView Test Manager. I already have my class built, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Open an Existing Class. Again, I happen to save mine under the V drive, but under the H drive, because this sticks with me. And there's my sample class. So I pull up whatever class I want to add it to, and I want to go up here to where it says Assignment and select Create New Assignment. I'm going to put the assignment name, I'm going to call this Practice Quiz, and then I want to select down here Online Test Delivered over Local Area Network, or LAN. And this little box here, this file, is where you need to go back in and find the test on the V drive wherever you just saved it. Typically it's going to be down on the bottom down here, so I go ahead and hit Selected V drive. I saved it under my sample class, so I hit Select, and there's my file. Okay, so it's the practice quiz. Now, if you want to allow students to take the test multiple times, if it's a practice, you can check that. I usually don't, but that is an option. Now, for password, I almost always make my tests and quizzes password protected. That way they cannot get into them. Some kids will try to guess them, but you know, whatever you want to call it. To make life easier, I'm going to go ahead and make the password to this one password. I know that breaks it all, and I don't know that I ever select different options for these since my students don't have an assigned password. I don't think it necessarily matters. This is where you can timestamp protect your test. You can have them access this test anytime, or you can limit the time. You know, and this also may be where you access the test at a certain time, and then students may go back and review their results. So that's up to you to kind of play around with. You know, when you have makeup, sometimes if you have a time restriction, those are hiccups, and those are choices that you're just going to have to make as you decide to use ExamView. So I'm just going to leave it as access this test at any time for right now. Then step 6 is a time limit. I almost always give them a time limit because otherwise they'll stare at the questions forever. And I'm going to show you the next video is going to be what it looks like from the student perspective, but the lowest you can go is 5 minutes. You're going to want to go through this with the students because if they exceed the time limit, it will shut off on them and it will mark everything wrong that is not answered. You know, online testing is a skill that students need to be familiar with, but you're going to want, I like to forewarn the kids about that. I like to go ahead and scramble the questions for each student, so therefore they're automatically pre-scrambled, and if Susie has wandering eyes, she's going to get a different order of questions than maybe Joey, who was right next to her. And these are just choices if you want to make it require students answer the questions in that order. I usually don't select that. You want to make sure for step 8, do not allow the students to check their responses. I'm not quite sure why it's in there that way, but you don't want to allow them to check their responses. And the other thing you can play around with right here, and this is going to depend on your goal, is if you want to show them an end of test report. For me personally, I do multiple choice and true false. So a lot of times I will give them the score percentage, but they don't know which questions they got right or wrong. You can, if you want to, go ahead and give them that feedback right away, particularly if that's the purpose of giving them frequent tests and quizzes. But if you do have some short answers, it will not, you may have to go back in and grade them. So you may not want to give them a percentage right away because it may inadvertently give them a really low grade if you have to go back in and grade something later. So this, again, you can kind of play around with. I'm going to go ahead and show score report so we can see what that looks like. It's going to let you review your choices, and then you go ahead and hit finish. Okay, now one mistake I've made, like everything else, make sure that you save your data because then it won't be there. Okay, so anyway, and now it is loaded and it is ready for this class, and I'll show you how the students go in and actually take that test online.